the sign, man. We're going to camera.
I'm over here with Little Red.
Herbie's got his buddy Little Red over there.
Guy.
Here are the signs. Adrian Martinez hoping to terminate the Buckeyes. Like the artwork there. Oh, look at this. It's a little disturbing. Oh, there's the Herbie Husker.
Oh, there we go.
You like that sign?
Yeah,
Herbie?
I like that. Oh, there you go. There you go.
They do trust Scott Frost. 12 years. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to confess, I don't know who that was. Do we know that lady? Oh, it's from Titanic. Okay. Ryan Day has an Android.
So does Pollock.
Do you like Runza? have you had the Runza? It's a local delicacy. Maybe we'll get some before it's over.
All right.
And I think they do trust the process here. Maybe Moses. The University of Nebraska. I saw a sign out there that said "and Ohio State University." And you got the obligatory shot at the Alabama schedule. I'm sure Fairbury High is very high in the FBI. It is about to get frosty tonight. Does LC want to do that? You think LC wants to put on the corn? Do you think LC wants to do that? You know what? The signs are a staple, the original social media. Remember this? The first ever sign on College Game Day. Rinaldi did a story. We couldn't find the guy, but Maria Taylor has now found it.
Of course I have. His name is Bob Mersad, and he's here with a replica of the very first sign ever seen on College Game Day. That was the third ever road show. Bob, you showed up with the sign. Okay, who are you sending a message to?
Art and Kay Ladenburg in Fairfax, Virginia. Some people I met in '94 at the Kickoff Classic, West Virginia, Nebraska, and we beat the crap out of West Virginia that day.
Okay, so is it crazy to think that you're the OG sign guy that has now created this? Like how many signs that show up every single week for College Game Day? How does it feel to know you were the first?
Well, you know, for the first 19 years, I had no idea I was the first sign guy because until Tom Rinaldi did his piece, and then I saw it on YouTube. I didn't even see the original broadcast, and I said, whoa, that's me. Yeah, and it was right here 25 years ago.
There you go. That's him. Show him your OG sign. Put it up now. That's your guy. He's the reason why we're all here, Reese. Let's be honest.
Who knew that guy would spark Twitter? There are plenty of signs referencing Michigan. I think they do all agree at the moment. And Michigan tanking doesn't work in college. We'll see. You know, the signs, we probably should have seen some of them coming for Michigan. Take, for example, what happened against Wisconsin, this hippo formation. 8 offensive linemen, 2,500 pounds, used it in short yardage and the goal line and just steamrolled Michigan on the way to the victory. And can you imagine when Jim Harbaugh had a look at that, looked across at all of that brutality and power and said, hey, I thought all of a sudden that's what we were supposed to be. How come we're not big and strong like that? But instead, Michigan has changed its DNA. And instead of a team with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, you've got a listless team that's unrecognizable to Michigan men with no idea where they're going, what they're doing, or how they're going to get there. And it's an identity crisis that dates to last year. Shea Patterson hasn't adapted well, and the whole offensive change was to make it easier on the quarterbacks. They've had all kinds of fumbling problems. They haven't been able to stop the run. That's not just this year. That dates back to the last several games of last year as well. And Michigan just doesn't look as if it has an identity. We talked last week that if they didn't have a crisp performance against Wisconsin, it was sort of questionable as to where they go next. I mean, where do they stand right now in your judgment? What does Michigan need to do to get it fixed? Or can they?
Well, I think first and foremost, they haven't played to the standard. You know, there's a Michigan standard that obviously when you're 2-1, but it feels like 0-3, then they haven't played to the standard. And there's a lot of blame to go around, obviously, from the coaches to the players. So that's why I start with it. The players need to be accountable for what they're doing. I mean, Josh Gaddis is a guy who's taking a lot of heat because he's a new addition to the staff, but he's not coaching players to go out there and fumble the ball. He's not coaching players to go out there and have pre-snap penalties. Those are things that you have to be accountable as a player and play with some sort of pride for yourself and for your university. So that's why I start. But I know everyone else wants to take a swing at Michigan, so go ahead.
I don't really want to take a swing. I don't.
Give your opinion.
I don't think this is a Michigan team that's done for 2019. I think this is a team that I'm sure looked in the mirror this week, and including Jim Harbaugh and the coaches, and figured out what do we got to do that's better. Because I've never seen a good Michigan team, because it's a good Michigan team, look that bad and be that out-coached in every phase of the game. The line of scrimmage, I don't care what offense Michigan runs, they got to win the line of scrimmage. They don't win the line of scrimmage. The defensive line's getting pushed around. And when was the last time Michigan had a running back that was able to strike fear in your heart because he might hit a crease? Higdon was okay. I got to go all the way back to Mike Hart.
Yeah.
So if you don't fear the running game, you can keep two safeties back and take away those talented wide receivers. So this would be an interesting week. And like I said, I'm not giving up on this team at all. But, man, alive, that was as bad as it's ever been last week.
It seems to me like Michigan's playing with a lack of pride and intensity that we're used to seeing Michigan teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no question in my mind. If they keep losing, the panic button will push in Ann Arbor at the end of the year.
And we all thought Jim Harbaugh was a home run hire. I think. I did. I thought it was a home run hire. And you just mentioned the word pride and intensity. You remember Jim Harbaugh against Pete Carroll at the middle of the field, the handshake, and what he did with Stanford, and just the brutality and
chip on his shoulder.
Yes, and that's what he always brought in. And he's brought better recruits in and players in. And you see the NFL, all the players they're putting out in the NFL, but they got to get that. They got to find that intensity and up front and be able to physically dominate. And listen, they've had it in stretches on defense. Let's be honest. Like, that defense the last couple of years has been fierce and unbelievable. Just
Kirk
offensively, it's been amazing that they haven't had that.
Yeah, Kirk made a good point, and I'm with Kirk. I'm not giving up on the 2019 season. When you look at Josh Gaddis, he's a coach that's been through a similar situation before in 2016 when he was with Penn State, and they was trying to install the same exact offense. They started off very slowly, 2-2. They got blown out of the waters by Michigan. Everyone was talking about fire James Franklin, get him the hell out of there. But they went on to win the Big Ten championship that year. So I'm not giving up on the Wolverines just yet.
I think that's wise. We've talked about Gaddis, talked about the players. What responsibility does Jim Harbaugh have in this? I mean, it feels like the changes aren't the way he made his reputation, Stanford and the 49ers. And I know he used Kaepernick and did some spread, but it feels like he changed for some reason.
It seems like he changed?
Yeah, I mean, he changed his philosophy at least.
Well, you try to adapt with the times of the day. I mean, we've seen Nick Saban change his philosophy. I think that's what we see right now.
Doesn't Harbaugh bear the responsibility for it not working right now? And
of
not
course, he's the head coach. All of it falls on the shoulders of Jim Harbaugh. There's no denying that whatsoever.
But I just think what's a little bit of, you talked about the panic button.
Yeah,
they went through the Rich Rod era, right? And you back that up with the Brady Hoke era. That was 7 years of, I can't even imagine what, your fan base, the Michigan fan base, what they endured.
7 months a year.
And then Jim Harbaugh comes in and it's like, thank God, here we go, and we're going to start winning some big games, and they're not. And so we could talk scheme and Josh Gaddis all you want. I think this is really a test. They get Rutgers, they'll get everything going this week, and then they get Iowa, and then it gets tougher. You get Penn State, you got Notre Dame coming up. This is where, to me, Des, like, if you're in the locker room, Walter Smith's in that locker room, like, I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. I don't care who the defensive coordinator. Aren't some players accountable to step up at some point and look at everybody in the eye and say, not on my watch. Like, where are the alphas on this team to step up and say, let's go, man. Jake Long tweeted something out, the lineman walking onto the field. He said that was the most disgusted thing he saw the whole game against Wisconsin. That was a good point.
They have an opportunity. You got to, I mean, look, it's a long season. I think it was Khaleke Hudson who referenced last year when they lost to Notre Dame. People were down on. They went on a 10-game winning streak. But Michigan
doesn't look like that.
Michigan's got to get right. They got to get right. There's no excuses there. And we should point this out too. They've been good. The problem is they've been good like NC State's been good. Right? Mississippi State's been good.
They haven't reached that standard.
It's not the Michigan standard. Not the Michigan standard yet. Perhaps Notre Dame is on the cusp of that standard. Still didn't quite get over the hump against Georgia, trying to join the 900 club against Virginia. You know, the Cavaliers went to see Rambo Last Blood last night. They're going to need some ruthlessness if they're going to win in South Bend, because Notre Dame comes in coming off that game against Georgia in which they had a chance to win the game, had the ball late, and the Dogs were able to hang on. In one respect, you could say same old Notre Dame, but if you were looking for a reason to eliminate them from CFP consideration, you did not find it. But the Irish know that this game is going to be huge. They've still got that Rockney fight in them. And Khalid Kareem warning, next opponent, best of luck to you, because we're coming.
Snap to Book. Pressure. He roll scrambles. He's backpedaling. He's back on his 42. We're chasing. He hangs it up in the air, and it is incomplete. Dogs defense secured this victory.
You want to talk about defining games. It wasn't tonight. The defining game will be next week.
You know, Georgia really has nothing to do with it. We showed that we're tough and physical and ready to, bring that on to Virginia.
4-0 start and have some of the attention that we're garnering. It just adds to the urgency.
They're going to be challenged, and they're going to have to respond.
This is a different UVA team. Maybe a great opportunity to put our mark on college football.
Our Goodyear blimp-worthy flashback takes us back to early September 2015, Virginia. Home game against the Irish. Looked as if they had him on the rope.
In the rain, Deshaun Kaiser comes in and plays in this football game, makes a big throw late.
And that throw is coming. Malik Zaire was hurt in the game. Kaiser looking for Will Fuller.
We're like, who's this 14 guy? And then we're like, oh, that's who he is.
7 was pretty good.
That'll work.
Yeah, 7 was pretty fast.
Straight out loud.
That'll work.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
there it
poor
is.
guy.
This guy became a meme.
What is that? That's not the Cobra. That's the
like
downward.
the opposite. That's downward cat. The Cavaliers could be way up today. They're tied with Florida, lead the nation with 20 sacks. Can they go in and catch Notre Dame after that tough game against Georgia and get them?
I think they're going to give Notre Dame everything they can handle. And playing off the tough game, which is really important to understand, physical, let down, now you go play Virginia.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't move I know it moves the meters for certain people, and we know Virginia's a really good football team, but Notre Dame has to respect Virginia. I tell you what, you watch their defense, Virginia. They are just – you talk about a defense that's in the right spot almost every single play, that don't beat themselves, that are going to make you earn everything. That's those guys, man. They are consistent. They rush the quarterback. They run games. This is going to be a tough game for Notre Dame.
You talk about taking a brand, go from Provo, Utah, into Charlottesville. That's what he's done.
Unbelievable.
Bronco Mendenhall. That's what you just described about their defense this year is what he's coached everywhere he's been. And so it's not a surprise. To me, I thought Brian Kelly said this game tonight against Georgia didn't define who we are. Next week will, because it's going to have to show the maturity of who they are. Ian Book, to me, is the difference today. His feet, ability to get away from the pressure. Virginia tied for the lead in the nation in sacks. They know how to get after the quarterback. But Des, I think Ian Book has a chance to make some plays with his arm, but especially creating with his feet.
Let's talk about Notre Dame in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let me tell you one thing. They got a good chance for the playoffs, but the problem is this. They do not play a nationally ranked team in November.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's going to hurt them, I tell you. They can go a long way.
Yeah.
But don't play a good team in November where the games count the most.
You know, I
that's
think
going to hurt them.
the way they played last week against Georgia on the road in Athens, I think it really inspires their team. They know they can play with some of the best teams in the country. So I think they're going to take that mentality into this game against UVA. UVA has a strong defense. There's no doubt about that. But I love the way Ian Book is managing the offense right now. And in the tight end, Cole Kmet. Watch Cole Kmet. That guy
Big boy.
And he's a playmaker, though, too.
Can we address coaches real quick? Because Notre Dame's out.
You think?
They're not going to be in the college football playoffs.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with it. I thought
either.
that going in, but I think they made a pretty good statement in the game last week.
It all depends on how many undefeated teams there are.
There's a whole bunch of moving parts before we can say they're out or in.
I got you. We can do the ifs, ands, and buts all day if we'd like to.
Yeah.
But what we've seen in the past with Power 5 teams, one-loss teams, they're going to be behind every single one of them. Every single one of them. They're not going to be a conference champion. So they're going to be sitting there watching when everybody else is playing the last week, which is going to matter to the committee. And here's the thing, and again, Coach talked about the schedule. Virginia's a good team, the best team they play the rest of the way.
Michigan.
I don't think there's enough on Notre Dame's schedule.
I agree with that.
Last year we talked about them as a no-loss team. People were like, they don't deserve to be in it.
I'm disgusted, man. I think they feel very different than they did last year. I think they're better than they were last year.
Yes.
And I think, I don't care who they play down the stretch, it would hurt them as far as the eye test. But if you're beating people soundly, I don't care who you're playing. If you look good, you look good.
I agree with you. And how many years have we gotten down to splitting hairs over the best loss? And who's going to have a better loss than what they had last Saturday night? Well, as Coach said, a lot of football. Let's check in with Maria.
Hey, Reese, I've got your Pizza Hut home team fan here, and it's John and Kathy Pounds, who have been to 398 straight Nebraska games, home and away. So you got to walk me through exactly how you've been able to make this happen over the course of time.
I couldn't hear you.
How have you been able to make it to so many straight games?
Well, perseverance, friends we have, we've been able to get tickets most of the time, but other connections, are through the StubHub. But we managed to, it's just dedication.
Yeah. You guys have even gone all the way to Tokyo, apparently, when Nebraska was playing against K-State. And Kathy, you underwent a kidney transplant. You got it from John, and you still didn't miss a game.
No.
How did you guys make that happen?
No, we actually told the doctors, we said, we got to schedule this transplant around Husker football.
Well, there you go. Husker football is life, and you guys are some extraordinary fans here at Nebraska. Kathy and John Pounds, Reese.
Wow, that's a good effort.
A lot of dedicated fans like that, Maria. And you know what? We've been following the travels of Game Day Done Right. Our friends Dave and Barb Wright, Oregon fans. They've been traveling around following Game Day. They're getting up around 4,000 miles, now past 4,000 miles. Hey, look, they went and visited the Abe Lincoln. Jordan Simmons come by the hotel to talk to these upstart Trojans who suddenly are navigating that tough schedule early pretty well.
I tell you what, so impressed with the USC because everyone's been trying to just kill their head coach, Clayton Helton. He's like, oh, Clayton's going to get fired. They're not going to win. Quarterback after quarterback, they go out there and perform. Keaton Slovis against Stanford. Give the young man credit. You don't know if you're going to start. JT Daniels goes down. He gets a starting position. He beats Stanford. He goes down. Matt Fink, he's prepared. He goes out there, and they beat Utah. So I love the way that they prepare their quarterbacks. And Graham Harrell, in my opinion, is calling a fantastic game with his backup quarterbacks. I liked him today against Washington.
Yeah, I think going to Seattle is a little bit of a different animal because of the way they play defense. And Matt Fink's been a great story. All these quarterbacks and really this offense, considering the adversity that they have faced, has been tremendous. But Jacob Eason's playing good football, too. What he did last week, going to Provo, they did a nice job protecting him. To me, that's the key. Can Washington take care of Eason? Can they have balance running and throwing at home in Seattle? You know how tough it is to go up there and win.
Yeah,
I'm going with the Huskies.
Washington's a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is special teams. Coach Peterson, in his 5 years, has had 14 touchdowns by returns. Whoa. And you know how important? None. And they're almost unbeatable in Washington. It's going to be a tough time for USC.
I know all of those flavors of the air raid are a little bit different. With Coach Pete, 5-0 against the air raid.
Good point.
One that belongs to Mike Leach. Harold runs it a little bit differently on the subject of the air raid. Mike Leach, Old Crimson, I believe flying at half staff after what happened to them last week against UCLA. I mean, this was impossible. The collapse in Pullman. They had a 49-17 lead. Look at their chance to win.
Percentage. Nothing. That's an all-time low, right?
So you're saying we got a chance?
Just run the ball, right? Run the ball.
You know what? I tried to do the math. I believe they could have taken a knee, expired the play clock, kicked the ball out of bounds, and won. I think. I don't know. They ended up scoring 130 points. Oh, but UCLA had them right where they wanted them. Yes, remember that comeback against Texas A&M a couple of years ago, and now they're 2-4 when trailing by 30 or more. The rest of the world's 0-414. Now Wazoo has to deal with Utah. Both teams coming off disappointment.
Yeah, this is a tough test for both teams emotionally. I just think the home team, you go back to Utah, the Muss student section, it's going to be very, very tough for, I think, Washington State. Now, listen, they're going to get their yards. Gordon's going to throw the football. But that is a tough one to – it's one of those games where the coach says, man, we don't want one game to give us two losses. I think this might be the case, especially because they're going to Salt Lake. I like the Utes.
Utah needs to win this game to complete their drive toward the playoff.
Not
Still
done yet.
thinking on the playoff. They got to win this one, though. They got to win this one.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know where the Cougars are mentally, because when I sat there and watched that comeback by UCLA, that was just amazing. You look at Coach Leach and his staff, and they didn't know what hit them. Just wonder where they are mentally. I think that the Cougars will win this game against the Utes, but it's going to be a close one.
Well, it would be a clean sweep for the in-state teams, Bear. You've got a BYU on the board.
I do. We do. BYU, the team that got annihilated by UW last week. I don't like the spot at all for BYU today. You look at 4 straight Power 5 opponents to start the year, 3 Pac-12, including your rival Utah. You have the road game at Tennessee. You win in overtime, you go back. Couple overtime games. I think the dam kind of broke last week. Now you got to go to Toledo. They're not going to respect Toledo going to the glass ball there. I don't know if it's Jason Candle's best team, but they got a good dual threat quarterback. Hung in there with Kentucky for a while. I like Toledo here as a home underdog
Toledo. Okay,
to get
that's
that right
your
win.
one.
That's the third one.
A couple underdogs at home, huh?
I get two home underdogs.
Yeah, 2 home dogs.
3 dogs, 2 home
3
dogs.
dogs too.
And speaking of a home dog, by the way, I'm just looking at the movement here.
Yep.
They're betting Boston College like they have tomorrow's newspaper. The number's down to 5.
I really like that.
There's a lot of people betting Boston College. And when you talked about it, it's a tricky spot for Wake Forest on the road. You're expected to win, and the last time BC set foot on that field, they got annihilated by Kansas. So we'll see what happens.
But that was on Friday night.
Yes, it was.
I'm just wondering if everybody's ready to jump on that UCLA bandwagon after the comeback. They've got Arizona.
I think Arizona.
Playing ball.
He's healthy.
Yeah.
Khalil takes healthy.
The scheme looks better for him,
Had
too.
some good moments against Texas Tech early this year. Coach Zero Sugar counting us down to kickoff just under 36.5 minutes before Iowa gets started. Nate Stanley welcoming Iowa to the festivities. It's Middle
Not a
Tennessee.
favorite around these parts, huh?
No, they've been able to develop a little bit of a rivalry between these two.
Probably the best rivalry now in the Big Ten for Nebraska. Wouldn't you say?
I think that was a question we thought about asking. Who's their rival?
I think so.
Don't play Oklahoma, don't play Colorado.
Yeah.
It's probably Iowa.
I think it's
right?
Iowa. Feels like it.
We can probably listen and figure out what they think about Iowa. You can see Iowa and Middle Tennessee. Iowa, a tough win at Michigan. Kind of a showdown game for the Wolverines next week. Gabrielle Union will be our celebrity guest picker. Our friends at Wheels Up, making sure that Gabrielle gets here to join us. Now, you know Gabrielle and her husband, Dwayne Wade, are close with LeBron James.
Yeah.
Noted Buckeye fan. This is King James' Instagram. Well, boomerang action, breakfast and game day to start things off this Saturday.
Big Buckeye fan.
He is.
His only flaw. No, that's my guy. He's a great guy. That's my guy.
You know, he also tweeted, I think it wasn't going to end well for them. Coming up at noon, Texas Tech and Oklahoma, Jalen Hurts, and he's improved those Heisman Trophy odds. He has been sensational up to this point. Defense much better for Texas Tech under Matt Wells. Texas A&M and Arkansas. Coach Zero Sugar counts us down to kickoff. Neutral site game. You know what? 3 of the last 5 have gone to overtime here. They need to elevate Mon's play a little bit as he gets ready. Well, could it be? The children of the corn. Yes. And now our celebrity chef. We showed you this meat that they were cooking up earlier. Wow. And then here's
We got like a seafood bucket, huh?
Yeah, we're going right here.
There we go. Now we talking. Yeah.
Dessert.
This is it.
Need some of that.
This is going home with me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that, Dad.
Get in there, LC.
Yeah. Look at this. This is the real deal here. Look at this.
Isn't that nice?
Boxing this up. Taking it to the grill.
Turn that around.
Look at that.
Keep turning that, Dad. It's 2-1.
That's too pretty to